Hi friends, today I'll teach you how the DevOps workflow uh, happens and how the CI/CD workflow happens. Okay, so let's learn about DevOps workflow. Okay, so right from the requirement gathering. Okay, so for example, customer comes to you with some kind of requirements. So initially they will raise a Jira ticket and they discuss with your developers. So that's a requirement stage. So initially requirement gathering happens, okay, requirement gathering, and then developers will understand the requirement of the customer, and then developers will develop a code. So initially from client means here customer, okay, from client. Let me take a different color, okay. No, no. Yeah, from client, requirement will come, project requirement. Uh, this is a requirement gathering stage. So now my developer collects the requirement and he starts coding, he starts writing the code. So here, developer has a Git installed on his PC, on his computer, local computer. Why? Because uh, we are using a GitHub as a central repository here. So this is the requirement gathering stage where he needs these basic requirements. He will install Git on his local computer and he writes the code like it's in a Java code or Python code. It's application code. He'll write a application code here. So once his code is ready, then the developer will there will be multiple developers, okay, not a single developer. There will be multiple developers, so they will write the code. So once they write the code, he will commit the code. Next stage is it's a commit, okay. So he commits the code and pushes the code to GitHub. So here it's a local PC, local computer. He has installed a Git here. He runs this git commit, git push, origin. Okay, these commands work here because he has installed a Git here. So next is GitHub. GitHub. So GitHub is the location where we have created a centralized repository. Okay. So GitHub is the location where we have created centralized repository. Uh, so in the GitHub, we have to create a centralized repository here for your project. Okay, we have a repository here. So this code, whatever the developer has created here, see, this code will be pushed to repository in the GitHub. So once the code reaches the GitHub repository, the next step here we can make a use of GitHub token or GitHub webhook. We can make use of GitHub webhook, okay, to trigger a notification to Jenkins server. Next comes the Jenkins server. Okay, Jenkins server. So this is a continuous integration server tool, Jenkins, which can fetch the information or the code from GitHub to Jenkins based on the webhook. So webhook triggers here the Jenkins. So Jenkins is a continuous integration tool where we can write the complete CI/CD pipeline, Jenkins pipeline. That is the Jenkins pipeline. Okay, Jenkins pipeline. Can write a Jenkins pipeline. We can automate completely using Jenkins pipeline. Okay, so here until here, developer has written a code, pushed to GitHub, and then from GitHub, Jenkins has fetched the repository code. And next step is here compiling the code. Okay, compile the code. So this work will be done by Maven. It's a one tool. Maven is one tool. In Jenkins alternative, we have Circle CI. So many other tools we have for continuous integration. So Jenkins is one of them. Next is compilation or building, code build. So compilation is done by Maven tool here. So this Maven again it's integrated with Jenkins. So Jenkins, the beauty of Jenkins is it has the uh, capability of integrating with many other tools, and it supports thousands of plugins inside it. So that's the beauty of Jenkins. That's why it's a most popular tool in the market. That's a Jenkins. So we have installed Maven plugin in the Jenkins. So it supports and Maven is installed uh, in the Jenkins. Okay. So Maven does the code compilation. This code is compiled by Maven. And then we will run unit tests here. Okay, unit test. If unit test is passed, then Maven next work is first is compilation. Okay, it will compile, then it will does the unit test. If unit test is passed, then the next work is to build. Build means it will add the dependencies. Building is it will add the dependencies for the code. Once the code is built, it has to be pushed into a repository. Okay, this is artifact. Okay, artifact repository. So we have here Jfrog, Jfrog Artifactory or Nexus repository. Okay, Nexus repository. So these are the locations where you can store your Artifactory. So once your Artifactory is stored in the Artifactory repository, from there the work of your Docker will start. Okay. Next is the Docker. So what you do here in the Docker? You have a Docker file in the Docker. Okay. It works on the Docker file, and your Docker file can have this. The output of build is if it is a Java based project, it will create like your application in jar, the .jar, or if it's Python based, it can create it in a var. Okay, app.jar. So this file will be stored in the Jfrog or Nexus repository, and next Docker in the Docker file will write it. Will mention the base image, and then on top of that another layer as this is this artifactory whatever you just created. This artifactory will be called upon the base image. Okay, we'll have a base image. We'll call the base image. The second layer is this one. Okay, the second layer, and then build a Docker build is a command here. Build a Docker image here. Take a base image, add another layer with your application, then you create a Docker image. Okay, you will create a Docker image. once you created your Docker image, you will push it to a central repository to store your Docker images. That is DockerHub in this case. Okay, DockerHub is the central repository to store your Docker images. Okay, so your Docker image is ready now so far. And okay, and next step is, once your Docker image is ready, next step you have to deploy this Docker image on the containers. So next comes the containers. Okay, here for containers we have most used one is Kubernetes. Okay, Kubernetes, Kubernetes cluster. So this is the deployment stage. Okay, so you are deploying your application on the Kubernetes cluster. How it happens? Again, we have a configuration management tool here. Okay, for example, Ansible. Ansible is a configuration management tool where we will have a playbooks which are integrated with again Jenkins, the Jenkins pipeline. Okay, Jenkins pipeline. So Jenkins pipeline, the next stage it will call up on the Ansible playbook. Ansible playbook will fetch this image from Docker Hub and it pushes to the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so your application is deployed now on the Kubernetes cluster and your application is running on the Kubernetes containers. Okay, then you expose your application using a service. Okay, using a service, expose it. Okay, once your service is exposed to the outside world, you can access it. You can access it via web page. Can access it. So your application is complete. Application is ready now. And the stage we forgot here. We shouldn't forget. That's very most important step. That stage is no monitoring stage. That stage is monitoring stage. So your monitoring will monitor your web service or your Kubernetes, okay, Kubernetes cluster performance, like the load on the Kubernetes cluster nodes, the CPU utilization, or the memory utilization, or your response latency in the web application. So everything will be monitored by the monitoring system. We have multiple monitoring tools here. Uh, the most popular one are Prometheus, okay, and then this will collect the logs, Prometheus. Then we can export these logs to Grafana, Grafana for more graphical or dashboard friendly graphical experience, rich graphical experience. We can use Grafana. So export these logs to Grafana. It will show in a rich graphical experience. So that's the uh, graphical tool. And we can have now the most popular observability tool. Mostly SREs use this. That's the IBM Instana. Okay, IBM Instana. It's observability tool. Monitoring or observability. You can use either. So IBM Instana. So IBM Instana does monitor your traffic, your load effectively, uses AI technology, then, not only monitoring what happens in the system, but it also tells you why it happens. So that is what observability comes here. It's not only telling what happens, what is happening in the system, but it is also telling you why it is happening, the root cause, the probable area of the issue. The area is coming from this cluster, or due to the network issue here somewhere, okay, in the service issue. So it will tell you the possible area of issue. So that's what observability, Instana observability, okay, observability tool. We have simple monitoring tools as well. It's all it all depends on the customer requirement, how you want to monitor your system. If you want to just monitor it, or you want more rich features like observability tools, which can tell you what is happening and why it is happening using uh, AI technology here. Okay, and then if you know the cause, why it is happening, then for that you can write playbooks, set up playbooks for the remediation of the issue. So once issue happens, reported, then issue fixed, done. Yeah, this is how the complete automation of CI/CD pipeline in the DevOps workflow. I hope it's it's briefly whatever I have explained. Uh, you are clear about this. So I'll try to come up with more explanations on each individual tools in my next video. Yeah, thank you.